family is doing well. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I got a text from Supervisor Howard. He said he'll be here shortly. We'll go ahead and do what we can do. Once he gets there, he'll get in what he gets in. We'll ask Supervisor Montgomery, if you will, give us an indication.
I will. If you will, please bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you once again that we as a board can come and do the county's business. Dear Lord, be with each and every one of these board members tonight and after this board meeting as well, that we can make decisions that are pleasing in your sight. Dear Lord, be with each and every one of the people who are here tonight as they go about their way. Be with each and every citizen here in Oktibbeha County. Be with each of our local leaders, be with our state leaders, and our national leaders. Dear Lord, be with people as this hot weather comes through this area. Be with especially the old, that someone can check on them. It's all these that we do, all these blessings and more, dear Lord, that we are thankful for. That we do ask in your Son, Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery. What we'll do, we'll follow our agenda as carefully as we can. I think we may have one or two additions or deletions, and we'll deal with those, I guess, once we get to them. First item of business is citizen comment period. Are there any, or is there any citizen here tonight that's not on the agenda that would like to approach the board for up to 3 minutes? You may come forward and do so at this time. Yes, sir. If you don't mind when you come, you can have a seat if you need to and state your name.
I'm David Robertson. Let me state, first of all, as a whole, our county roads are better shaped now than they have been 50 years. But I live at the corner of White Oak Lane and Mount Olive Road, and y'all took bids on redoing that road on kind of the heavy traffic when y'all had the bridge tore out. And that road don't have any cross drain in it going east and west. All the water comes across me. I've got a little pond down there, and when Charlie built the subdivision, he done away with one ditch, and he brought it down to the other ditch. So I'm getting twice the water that I used to get. And if you come down there or meet me and Mr. Pritchard or whatever, when it comes to good rain, the water flows from the east to the west and hits the ditch and comes to me. For about, I'm gonna say 300 yards, there's two places that water can be diverted, you know, before it ever gets to me. And I wish y'all would consider putting cross drains in, covered rather, and let it run down between the property line of those residents instead of coming all across me.
That's David
Robertson.
What's your address?
525 Mount Olive Road.
I'd like to meet with you and get that resolved.
I can't do it tomorrow, but any time after that, I'm wide open.
Okay. You don't leave your phone number?
Yes, sir. You got it?
I can get it from you.
769-005-51.
Okay. Well, some of the water's flowing in my house, so I won't be able to see. I won't be able to see what's going on because it's flowing in my house.
If you do it while it's raining, you can really see where it's coming. And I've owned some more property right behind the other side of White Oak where the Pages pool is. You can see it coming off of that hill and hitting White Oak and turning toward me. And they've got ditches on both sides, don't get me wrong, but where the water comes down, they've got the west side built up so it can't run between the property lines. It comes back south.
We certainly appreciate you coming tonight. And we'll
I thank y'all for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening. Is there anyone else who would like to go through? Good evening.
Good evening, I got
Good
everything.
evening.
My name is Felicia Ashton, and I pass one of these around here for each one of you. My name is Felicia Ashton. I'm here on behalf of the Mississippi Gold Chasers as a representative for the Mississippi Gulf Section Track and Team. And I'm gonna pass these around, but I'm gonna try to get these back. Want you all to just see a little something about what I'm gonna tell you. The Mississippi Gold Chasers is a nonprofit youth track and field organization affiliated with AAU, and it was started in January 2019 with the guy by the name of Kentrell Anderson. AAU is one of the largest nonprofit volunteer sports organization in the United States, and a multi-sports organization dedicated exclusive to the promoting and development of the amateur sports and physical fitness program. The Mississippi Gold Chasers is a Club 3 member of the AAU, which clarifies the organization as a not-for-profit organization, 501c3. Participation in the organization's sporting events, ability to host events, and have access to second-party insurance coverage. The organization provides track and field coaching for boys and girls ages 5 to 18, and the opportunity for the youth to learn and master skills in track and field sports, as well as endure positive mentoring. The organization's first year has 35 kids. A few goals for why I'm here, I'll get to that in just a second, is hoping to cut down on the crime rate with the youth, teaching them independence, how to conduct themselves, the importance of education, respect for themselves as well, leadership, discipline, integrity, teamwork, motivation, overcoming anxiety, how to deal with bullying, continue to give the kids the opportunity to compete, and to bring an AAU track and field to our hometown by hosting an AAU track. And also to help purchase van for transportation for these kids. The Mississippi Gold Chaser organization hopes that you, the Oktibbeha County Board of Supervisors, will get on board by asking the state to fund this organization and taking their dreams to the next level. Please consider ongoing funding. Thank you for your time, and also what I passed around is a copy of the Mississippi Gold Chaser first year expenditures, so you'll be able to see what they've done on their own by themselves this first year. So I'm hoping that on behalf of the Mississippi Gold Chasers, that you all be able to ask for those funding for the youth and track.
All right, we certainly appreciate you coming, we appreciate the work that you all are doing in the community. I think you said you wanted those pictures.
Yes,
Right?
I'm waiting.
And Marvell's not here.
And while you have the opportunity, Facebook is where you may wanna announce that you're looking for people
To sponsor.
to sponsor.
We are looking, well, we do that too. We have a website, and it's actually, Mississippi Gold Chasers.org. I have to email it to you, I can't think of it right now. And they also have, you have a website where you keep up with what the kids do, how they do, what compete, you just keep up with the whole 9 yards. And we also have a sponsorship package that we put for people that may want to sponsor. So I'm posting that information everywhere I can, so I'm hoping that you all would.
You have a Facebook account as well?
I have a Facebook. My name is Felisa Ashford on Facebook, FELECIA. You may look, it may have 2 pages, but one of them is not even anything done to it, and I don't know, I'm antique, I don't know how to delete that out, so, but if you find the Mississippi Gold Chasers, you'll find me.
That's Mississippi Gold Chasers.
Mississippi Gold Chasers Track and Field.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to take the vote? If not, then we'll move right along. First item of business for this evening is Longview Road bid results. Mr. Chris, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Bids were received on Longview Road on June 7th, 2019. We had bids from Phillips Contracting, Cornerstone Civil Contractors, A. Boyer Company, Burnstert Construction, and Maloof Construction, and Osborne Construction. And we previously issued a bid tabulation with those numbers. Our low bidder is Phillips Contracting out of Columbus, Mississippi, in the amount of $212,426.17. For those of you that were in the bid opening, that number may be just a little bit off for some mathematical stuff that when we checked it. But
Just
I
a
have,
few cents difference from what they
Just a
they
few-
posted
just a
after
few
we added
cents.
it together, yeah.
when we checked the bids, and that's not unusual, as you can see from the proposal, there was close to 100 items that they did. So, that said, state aid has reviewed the funding available, which included the $1 million worth of county funds that were allocated. And they prepared a board order for the Board of Supervisors, so it pleases the board to execute this order and issue a notice to Phillips Contracting.
We have a motion, is there a second? Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor
Now,
McGurk.
by way of full disclosure,
Any more discussion concerning the motion?
Just slight, I heard you say that they reviewed the state aid funds that were
that's correct.
available. Is that what was available to Oktibbeha County?
That was, as I understand it in talking to them, this was the funds that were previously allocated in the STP project, the
Okay.
federal project, that were assigned to Longview Road.
Okay, but that's not what was allocated at the beginning of the term. They didn't include everything that's left. That was
Correct,
allocated
at the beginning of the term, it was still sitting in that STP fund, hoping that federal funding was coming along.
Gotcha.
Is what I'm-
Gotcha. And the only reason I'm asking is because I didn't use all of my, state aid funds.
362,000 from each one of us.
Yeah.
Then
I
the
just-
remaining was the STP funds that have been
Okay.
allocated, you know, we didn't get all the STP dollars.
I understand
Yeah.
all that, I just, the way he worded it, he said what was available, and I was just making sure,
Okay.
that's all.
And now,
When I looked at that, there were three types of funding, STP and state aid, but it seems as if there was some county dollars too.
250,000.
there's, correct,
250,000 and 750,000 in BP money.
that's right. It's $250,000 in county funds,
$362,000.
$750,000 in BP to make up the $1 million county contribution. Now, again, by way of full disclosure, and I just caught this a little while ago, I brought it to your attention earlier. If you'll remember back when we programmed this job some year and a half ago, the funds were restricted, we didn't know that the STP money was gonna come back available, et cetera, and I programmed this job at our engineering fee at 8%. State aid in reviewing the funds has done this board order with ours at 12%. Those funds are available, but I made an obligation to you at 8. If that be the pleasure of the board, I'll hang with it. I'd rather not, but I will. So, but I wanna make that known to you right now before we execute this order.
Any more discussion concerning the motion?
Well, I think, if they approved it at 12%, that's the normal percentage on the job. As much work as, our engineer did behind the scenes to make sure, as many trips as he took to Jackson to make sure that we got this completed. When we found out we weren't getting all the STP money, I don't have any problem with him paying him the allocated amount by state aid.
Well, and again, I want to make this known up front, cause I had an agreement with you on the front end, but it is made out for 12%.
Funds are available
The
within
funds
that.
are to be paid from the state aid funds that were allocated for the job.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk, vote the same. Motion passed unanimously.
If I could get this signed in duplicate, please. That done, I also, in the effort to expedite the contracts, I have 6 copies of the contract with Phillips. If it please the board to go ahead and signature the contract. That'll just put us another board meeting ahead.
Make a motion.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor
Change
McGurk.
order.
Are there any questions concerning the motion?
Do it.
All those in
No,
favor,
I
let it
got
be known
it.
by the clerk, vote the
I got
same.
all.
Motion passed unanimously.
All right, the big question in the room that's not getting asked, and when do you think realistically we could get started?
With this being done, we will send our copy of the contract to Phillips tomorrow, with the board order to state aid. Phillips will do their performance bond, payment bond, send that back. They will concur on the project. Speedy would be like 3 weeks to get this done.
Notice of a form.
Yeah, we'll give them a notice of award so they can get the bond. When we get all the paperwork in, state aid will review, Rob will review, we'll get a concurrence, and then we can give them a notice to approve that. Okay. Supervisor Howard regarding Miller Road and asked for a modification in that scope of work and that the county would do the asphalt leveling on that job in lieu of the contractor. We prepared a change order for that for the county. I've not signed, but I will. It reduces the cost to Vance Brothers Incorporated by the amount of $10,400. So,
here's what they've gotta do. They requested to have the shoulders shaved off, which is normal maintenance, but also have the leveling. And I'm gonna pay for the asphalt that's used out of some bond money that I've got left. So we will be using the county forces to do it, but I will pay for the asphalt that's used for the leveling.
Well, you heard the request, can you, got a motion, can we second? Second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote sign. Motion passes unanimously.
okay, I'm gonna sign this, y'all execute that change order. We'll get that to the contractor. All right, with respect to our emergency road and bridge repair fund project, I am requesting permission to advertise Silver Ridge. Sun Creek will be advertised as 2 bridges in one project, and Longview Edgerton. We have those essentially ready to put on the market.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Had a couple of calls about the recent accidents at Poorhouse and Old Highway 25. I contacted Richard Allen. He's with the MDOT Traffic Circuit Rider Division this morning. He's the one that assisted us earlier with the signage and the striping and that type of stuff. Told him that we were continuing to have accidents, so he's gonna resurrect his file. He's gonna get updated data. Told me, Steve, it takes about 2 weeks for that accident data to get to them. And as soon as he gets that, they're gonna come back with some additional recommendations on that intersection. I also talked to Harry Lee James, our state aid engineer. Because traffic has been delegated to MDOT now and not a state aid function, we're not eligible to use state aid funds on the intersection. So that'll have to come from a high-risk rural fund or county funds or something.
That's why I wondered if, since it was on state aid road, if we could use state aid dollars to pay for a line.
Because state aid is not administering it now, we can't put the state aid dollars to it.
And when we first sent this off, I don't know, it was been a year and a half ago or something, they talked about a roundabout, but we didn't think that was
Appropriate.
and then they came back with the diagrams of the signs, is that correct?
If you'll look today, I actually made a trip to Macon today. If I'm betting, I think we're gonna end up something similar to what's on 82 before you turn to Macon right there, that has the advanced warning, the lighting, and that type of stuff right there. That's what I'm hoping he comes back with, right there. Which is about as good as you can sign and signal an intersection.
How long before you think that turnaround will happen? You know, before we'll get that recommendation from MDOT?
I think it's gonna probably be a month. He said it'll be another couple of weeks before the traffic data is updated, and he wants to get the latest and greatest in there.
Well, when you're talking to him, will you ask about, we had discussed maybe just even lighting the intersection with like night lights or something? I know that wouldn't help during the day for the accidents, but at night it might help. Do you see if that's a possibility?
Yeah, we'll put all options on the table. But again, most of you probably do like I do, you ride through it doing 70 miles an hour every day, but if you'll pay kind of attention to the turn off 82 to Maven right there and how they've got that set up, that's a pretty good way to do it.
They actually also re-angle the pull-up lane.
That is.
So that your eyes will actually go toward, so you have a better view to it.
Correct.
So that,
Mr. Baggett has some good recommendations on that. Recommended that dangerous crossing ahead, and we don't have that sign ahead. Dangerous crossing ahead. That's one recommendation. Another recommendation, yeah, those signs should be up now. And then, to make those rumble strips larger. Cause when we run over those rumble strips now, you can't even feel you're crossing the rumble strip. So with being his conversation, that those rumble strips need to be larger so you really can warn people that you're coming up to a dangerous intersection.
Sure.
So I think those two good recommendations was admirable, coming from Mr. Baggett, our road manager.
We'll have a site full of engineers looking at this thing when MDOT comes back in, so we'll put all those things on the table.
Yeah, we put it all on the table.
All right, previously you had asked me to look at, some drainage at London Way off of South Montgomery. We took a look at that, I looked at it personally, and what we're recommending, there are two 12-inch culverts and an existing drive right there that we would like to see replaced with a 29 by 18 concrete arch pipe. We don't have, those two small culverts are stopping up in the big rain when we have trash and debris and stuff. It needs a larger pipe in there. And we also need to do a little ditching immediately west of that. That would be essentially along the front of Mr. Brunson's property, I believe.
And I would just ask if we could go ahead and make a motion and move forward. The property owner is now concreting her, up on her house and fixing to come down to the road with a concrete drive. So the quicker we could pull the two culverts out, there was one in there and the county went back and just put a second one in to try to fix it originally. And it did not fix the problem. It actually maybe made it worse because, you know, when you got two pipes together, they catch debris easier than one large one. So I'd like to make a motion that we move forward on that pretty quickly.
I actually saw her this morning out there and told her that we were looking at that, and she's agreed to give us a little time. She would like to see it fixed also, so, you know.
Sounds good, got a motion in a second. Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any more questions concerning that motion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by the proper voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. President, and Mr. Pritchard, I want to go back to the crossing on Old 25 and Poe House. There's been a lot of talk about the possibility of having a stoplight there. Would you also integrate that into your study and maybe do a feasibility study of whether or not that would be advisable or not to put a stoplight there at that intersection?
I think that it's probably gonna be a preferred option.
Mm-hmm.
I think cost is gonna be, as always, is gonna be a factor. So, I mean, you could be looking as much as $175,000 to $200,000 to signalize the intersection. So, yeah, it'll be on the table, but it'll be like the rest of it, we'll have to look at the cost of doing that. Back from the county engineers meeting on the coast, I just sent y'all a few notes about things that were discussed in our meeting. Did anybody have any questions about any of that? The recent legislation actually allows us to program state aid and our LSPP work to the end of the board term. That was one of the things that was brought out. The other thing I mentioned in the end, or in the first bullet point, that looks like some LSPP money may be available that's not out there now. That letter came out just a couple of days ago. This is counties that have not spent their LSPP money. It's going back in the pool. So Harry Lee James is going to have some discretion as to where that goes. You have two LSPP jobs in the county. One being Barnett Drive, which we recently discussed. The other one is the little bridge behind the high school that the school buses cross every day. After these LSPP monies are spent, the next monies that can be spent, Mario, this is where I had to call you the other day. It used to be that money could roll over into a road project, but now it's got to go on any bridge in the county that's deficient. So again, it's important to clean up these two LSPP projects in some form or fashion so that we can free up and program more work in the county.
I have requested that I send an email to the city that we all get together on that one project to make sure that everybody's agreeable on what we do in there. So I did readdress that after I got the letter from.
my fear on Barnett, and I shared that in the meeting, is that we just lowered the posting rating to 5 tons, which is a lower garbage truck than the rest of it.
Right.
And that the next round comes back and they say close the bridge. So we need to address that in some form or fashion. And that's been fast and furious, but that's all it's on my list.
Mr. Pritchard,
Quick.
well, I'm sorry.
Well,
Mr. Pritchard, that decision to lower that rating was not your decision.
That
I'll make
was
sure that's
absolutely
clear.
not our decision. If you remember in the meeting, I said the last inspection was in like 16 or 17. They just completed the last round. We got that documentation from state aid.
Just wanted to make certain that
Yeah.
that was clear, that it was not your decision. This was something that was beyond our control.
We got the letter to go with it that said, here it is, here's what you got posted.
Before you leave, what about Courthouse Road?
I have an
Advertise.
I have an estimate on courthouse that's really close to your money, just a little bit over. I'd like to tweak it, but if you wanna get an order to advertise, I think I can put that job
It's
together.
for the base repairs on Courthouse Road, and actually it's on Supervisor Williams' side of the road, but, where it's the worst, but,
Well,
we'll
it's
go
on
ahead
both
and
sides.
fix it. Well, yeah,
It's on my side, it is.
that's right.
Yeah, and to be clear, this is just the east end where the slalom section is, where it's so bad. This is not from
Yeah.
BOP to EOP on Courthouse. This is just to correct that east end section where you turn off. Right there, about 1,100 and 1,200 feet that we'd be
Yeah,
working on.
it certainly need to be fixed.
Right.
It need to be
And it's
fixed.
getting worse by the day. I went through it again today.
I'd like to make a motion that we move
Mr.
forward on that, if we can.
What are we moving forward?
Courthouse Road,
That's
we've already
state aid.
done a board order on
State
this.
aid, state aid road.
You gonna use your bond money to fix courthouse road? What about, County Lake Road?
I'm gonna say-
County Lake Road estimate, I told you that we measured up. I'm above your allocation right now. I'm trying to look at what I can do to scale that back.
You want to say? I'll take that.
When I put the base repair and the lead one and the DDSD,
I'm sorry, let's carry this motion, I'm sorry, jumped ahead, I'm sorry.
Got a motion by Supervisor Miller, a double motion by Montgomery and Williams. Double second by.
We want that one fixed.
Say Williams.
Got, second by, Williams. All those in favor, there be no matter appropriate motion, vote aye. Motion passed unanimously.
And I'm gonna talk with you two about maybe making a swap here. I've got state aid money that possibly can't, you got bond money, we may need a swap, but we'll talk about it.
to clarify just a
Yeah,
second
we can
on
use
Courthouse
that, we can
before we
use that
move.
on pull-out.
What we're doing is we're gonna take out the mogul, I call it, put a good base in. It's gonna be a chip seal surface until such time as we can come back and overlay in asphalt. That's all we have funds for right now.
It's the area where when you first turn on the courthouse between all 25 and South Montgomery, that if you've got a trailer behind your truck and it's not hooked on good, it will come unhooked. So, that's what we're gonna go in and do.
Sheriff
base repairs
Gladden's
on.
folks look like Bo and Luke do when they go through that. It's
That base failure actually failed for years.
It did.
When you think we advertise for that?
Within 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yep.
But now, you were saying that you were looking at what on county.
You had given me a number for what you had available on county level.
Yeah.
I measured it, did an estimate based on a change order to the current contract that we have for Murphy paving. And it was, I don't remember the exact number, but it was a good bit over the money that you had.
That's what we buying money.
No, that was just the bond money number that you gave.
So what did you come up with the combined?
I don't know what the combined.
Okay, so that's why I say maybe we can, if courthouse is the state aid, we maybe do some flipping.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not like
What I need to do is get you the estimate.
Right.
And then maybe between you and you, y'all can figure out the money.
Well, now, he's not, it'd be between me and you.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Money is money. Money is money.
Is there a road that needs to be paid for that I had an attorney contact me with the possibility of something that had to be paid for on,
That's the outstanding balance on Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill, that's exactly what it was.
And that contractor is getting mighty aggravated.
Do we need to move on that? Do we need to do something?
We do.
All right. I'm being told that they're gonna file something if I don't do something within the next 30 days, so I don't know what the outstanding issue is or whatever, but I think we need to have a discussion about what we wanna do in terms of getting that jack ready.
Yeah,
I got a call about that.
we asked that they go back and do some drainage work. And water was on top of the road. They never did come back and do it. The county ended up doing the drainage work, and pretty much all the work was done by the county. They really did a job that wasn't sufficient.
Well,
But I don't mind going on approving the final payment on that. But I think they should also go back and look at another road, and I'm not gonna call that name, but you and I both know that two types of stones should be on that road. There should be stone number 57 and stone number 7. But one of those roads doesn't have sufficient amount of stone number 7 on it.
you're gonna have to clarify which road, because some we resealed and
Yeah.
some we double sealed, so I'd have to know which road to look at. To see.
Would you look at Cedar Lane?
Cedar Lane.
Take a look at Cedar Lane.
You wanna make a motion or take that bill?
I think that he's made the motion.
I've already made the motion.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Miller, and we go ahead and pay the claim.
I'm making
Any
the
questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. Motion passes now.
Now that's all.
All right, well, we certainly appreciate you coming here today. And we will move forward to the next item.
Thank
You
y'all.
have a good evening, sir.
I've got it. I can get that to you. Okay. Y'all have a
Mr.
good
Curtis
evening.
Brando, good evening, sir.
How y'all doing?
Doing great. Vice
Hey,
Chair.
hey.
Now it's retired.
No, it looks like a
Know you all. My name is Curtis Brown. I've been serving the constable in District 2, so I also work in the fire department. So I retired from the fire department, and I had to step down as constable because retirement system want me to be out of the system for 90 days. So I come here today to ask you all to appoint my son for those 90 days to serve, and until I can come back into the system.
And he's old enough, I think.
He's 21 years of age. He's a member of Mississippi National Guard, and he's just completed school at Northeast Mississippi, 2 years of college.
Very qualified young man. On motion that we allow your son to serve those days that you're out during the 90 days.
Curtis Brando, Jr.
Yes, sir.
Another person that was interested in that position, I'd like to share his qualifications, if you don't mind. He probably has reached out to everybody. Chris Ballin is interested in being appointed to that position. He was a fraud examiner and forensic accountant, worked white collar crimes for over 20 years. His prior law enforcement experience at the Clay County Sheriff's Department, 4.5 years. He worked with the jails, the 911 system as needed. He has a enhanced carry permit, and he has worked as security at the First Baptist Church, and has worked in some other areas of the state. When they've had other shortages, he worked in the city of John Moore. So he has requested that he be appointed to that position.
Got a motion for Mr. Curtis Brown Jr. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion, a second, to appoint Mr. Curtis Brown Jr. to that spot. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
What do we need?
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right.
All right, Mr. Rosenhan. Good evening, sir.
Good afternoon. You talk a little bit about Poorhouse and 25. I'm very familiar with that. We've had 2 major incidents at that intersection in the last week. And I gave you, I think, one picture there. And I wanted to call attention to the fact that how everything worked fine from our standpoint, courtesy of the EMA. We had the Fire Department, the road crew, the Golden Triangle Hazmat Group, DEQ, obviously OCH, and some superb wrecker service that by the time we untangled the truck from about an 18-inch tree, which did not move, I checked that. Luckily, we got the driver out pretty good, and everybody was okay.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there, and but I'd like
That's
to
right.
thank our EMA director. She got everything together to make sure everything worked, and we got it cleaned up in record time. And you can hardly tell it occurred except for all the skinny on the tree. Yeah. The two items that I'm coming tonight. Last November the 4th, you agreed to participate in round 12 of what we call the RFTAP program, the Rural Fire Truck Acquisition Assistance Program. Subsequently, that board order and all of the paperwork that comes with that and signed by the president was sent to Jackson. I have recently found out that they want board minutes that specifically say to which department that truck is to go, and it was the Sturgis truck. And so I'm asking for a board order today that basically says the same thing as November the 4th last year, but has a paragraph or an extra line in there that the truck will be for the Sturgis District 4 Fire Department.
Is that truck already here?
No, it's on order. We're fixing to order another one for Maven, hopefully today, and it will be round 13, which will come into effect on July the 1st. And that's why I've got to get all that paperwork in too. So, as I say, we signed and sealed and delivered, but they wanted something that was on the board minutes.
Make a motion.
Got a motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the vote sign. Motion passes unanimously.
So
Thank
do,
you.
so do you need to go ahead and do the one for Maven, so we'll have
Well,
one
I'm
record?
getting to that.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
All right, time out. What legal wording needs to be in this for you?
The same exact thing as November the 4th last year, other than the truck will be assigned to Maven.
Right.
I'm sorry, Sturgis.
Sturgis.
We're working on Maven now. That's gonna be my next thing.
District 4 is all, that's what he said.
And we're gonna do one for Maven too, similar?
Yes, sir. Round 13 will come into existence July the 1st, and I will get all that paperwork to you as soon as I can. And then we're looking to order the truck for 13, or I'm a little groggy from this morning, for the Maven truck on round 13, which we did 3 weeks ago. I don't know if there's anything in your packet about it, but to make a long story short, the morning after you agreed to buy the truck, the low bidder called and said, oh, the price of the chassis went up, that'll be another $2,000, $2,500. And I said, what? And he said, oh, my bid, or my quote expired. So here I sit, we've got a board order for the low bid, which is not the low bid because the quote had expired, and he turned around and sent me another quote. And so I got another quote from the next highest guy, and I don't know, Ms. Garrett, do you have any comments here? I'll read it to them, or did they have anything in the? They got a copy? So I just need some guidance, because by the first low quoter's quote expiring, much less he sent me another one, what's legal and what's not legal. We preferred the Rosenbauer truck, that's what the guys in Sturgis wanted. But again, and then we always can talk about whether or not we should get low bid or not. Either truck is good, KME and Rosenbauer. The majority of trucks that we have over the last 25, 30 years have been Rosenbauer or their precedents, the Central States. So all I need to do is get some guidance from you so we can do something this week, because before, if I understand it correctly, come August the 1st, I'm sorry, July the 1st, I can't buy anything like that because of the term.
When we approved it, was the quote expired when we approved it.
Yes.
Yes.
So that would cut them out of the bid process anyway. and-
Well, they're not actually bids, this is on that.
State contract.
Excuse me, state
Oh,
contract.
okay.
But I'm saying that would mean that we could then take the next bidder
But it got re-quoted, and Rosenberg came down on their
because
quote.
the chassis came down.
Yeah, it came down, and I did call KME myself to confirm that the quote had expired, and that this new quote was higher than the one that they had originally got.
This is their state contract stuff,
Yes.
differently than. okay.
Yes, that's
Like you
whatever
said, they
that
like
contract.
Rosenberg.
We have to know what you got, man. And I might note the specifications and equipment and all that have not changed whatsoever. That was the
So
original.
basically, we need to void the board order of the first month meeting and use this one.
So then we need to make, per your advice, we need to accept Rosenberg.
Yeah, he's got two quotes there, and Rosenbauer is,
Rosenberg's the lowest quote on the second bid.
Yeah, on the
And
second
second.
by, what, 1,000,
Right.
1,500, whatever, I put my glasses on. But, we've had exceptional service, good luck with them. And as I say, I had never quite run into that before because, on the one hand, you know, even on a bid situation, we've got a little leeway because of experience and this, that, and the other. But anyway, here are the numbers. And, round 13 starts, next week, and I'm gonna be camping at their doorstep. And that one is for $90,000 of matching grant, whereas this one is 70. I'm sorry, the Maben one will be 90, and the correction that we're making for Sturgis is 70.
I guess we need a motion second to rescind that order from previous order. We'll do that. Motion by Supervisor McDermott, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let me know by the clerk vote sign. Now we need a new motion to accept the recommendation. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote sign. Pass it down.
Thank you all. I
Thank you,
hope
sir.
we don't ever use them, but you gotta have them.
We appreciate your hard work on this.
Do we need to get another board order for Maven like we did Sturgis? I wanna make sure we get that taken care of.
Yeah, we will, but it
Not
wouldn't
today.
take, well, it's not in effect yet, but if you want to, you could pass a resolution, I say a resolution or board order today, that we will participate in round of 13 of the RIF-TAP program, and that the designated recipient will be Maven, or the district, still asleep today, so it'll go to Maven Fire Department, yes, sir.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor McDermott. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the vote sign. Motion passed. Thank you, sir. You
Thank
have
you
a good
all. I enjoy playing with your mother.
Appreciate your hard work.
Take care.
Yes, sir, you do the same. All right, Ms. Rogers, good evening, you may come forward at this time.
Thomas Rogers.
You could do it, what was anything about that drainage, that sewage drainage, that you wanna do anything with that I was here?
I think that Attorney Robinson, I believe, has some information on that. Do you have some
Yes, ma'am.
information?
I went out and looked at it. Well, the first part of the information was is that the, State Health Department did not see anything on the date that they went, because they base it on the date that they go. So let me be very clear, they could go on a different date, there may be something that's different than the date that they went. But they didn't see any, evidence that there was, matter coming out of that system into that ditch that wouldn't typically be in the ditch. I went out there and actually walked around and looked and everything. I do see some of the things that she's talking about. There's obviously a pipe that is running under the ground in her neighbor's yard. I can see where the line is, I mean, you can see when things grow differently, it is something there. But it's not illegal to have a pipe, you know, that's flowing from somebody's area there. The evidence that was of that day that I went there, it was one of the days that it rained real good. What I did see is further down her line, there was, some trash and things like that, not on her property, it was further down, probably maybe the next neighbor, that looked like it probably didn't help keep water out of her area, so it probably does need to be cleaned out, but I don't think that addresses her issue.
Well, I have, that's the health department, I'm just gonna tell y'all, it is favoritism. Now, if anybody see this, in that ditch, it's all running, the whole thing, when you came down, it had rained about 2 or 3 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
And the water was running. This been going on for years and years. When the health department said they can't see anything, I don't know why they don't. Everybody can see it except them. And if you could come out there tomorrow, if I can show y'all, they come when it's dry. They come when it rain. If you look at my ditch, we can tell, just look at those pictures. I took those the other day. And that's why I say it's favoritism. Because when the health
Is
department.
this one taken after the rain, or?
Yes, a couple of days after the rain, it dries up. When it starts drying up, that's what you're gonna see. You go out there now, you see all kind of deposit in my ditch. Did you remember, you saw it?
Yeah, it was still damp.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's what I see, and this is why, if it was not there, that's why the health department said, I don't know how they can't see nothing. Y'all can see that stuff.
Is this
I
the
wouldn't-
right date on that? That'd be-
No, I didn't have my camera
I
set
got
by
you.
the date is not, you're my
Let's
camera, I
see.
don't know how to set the date. I went out there last week and took those pictures. And I took some 7 years ago, it's worse than that. And so when the people come, they say they don't see nothing, I don't understand, everyone come to my house. They see it except the health department. I think at that time, years ago, the person who lived there had their hand tied up in everything. Now, if the health department said they can't see that, I wonder what they don't see. Do y'all see anything? You go out there now, you can see it. And the only thing I just ask the supervisor if they could put me a pipe or do something to that ditch, I can't live there, it's haphazard. Disease, bugs and things fly around there. Now, I wouldn't be coming up here if that ditch, you know what I'm saying, if it was nice, I wouldn't be coming up here.
That's on your property.
Yes, right, that's right.
Right.
2 feet from hers, 2 feet from hers to mine, and it go down the whole acre.
Property, right?
Well, it's on county property.
I know
It
it.
flows down the ditch. It's
No,
what you're talking about.
it flows
the
down,
ditch.
sometimes it don't, it just makes circle deposits.
It make, okay.
You can, if they, when I tell them to
Yeah,
come,
no,
they
yeah.
won't come and show, they wait till it rain, you can't see nothing but the water. Then they'll wait till it dry. Mr. Train have seen it, for years, cause I have had him come out and cut my ditch, cause we couldn't cut it. We stepped in nasty water. And the only thing I'm just asking the supervisor, at least Mr. Trainer, if you know, that's your county, your district, I know it's all y'all do, but somebody needs to do something.
Well,
I mean, y'all say you're gonna look into, see what what do I have to do?
Ms. Rogers, what do you want done?
See, that's what I'm asking, well, can y'all put me a big pipe in the ditch, trench and put a big pipe in it? Because if you just trench it, that stuff still gonna run down that trench. So I was thinking if you put a pipe or something.
Here's the thing about just sitting in the middle of a ditch and digging down, you know, there's a certain flow. And we try to grade the ditches so when it rains, the water continues to go, and if you get just pick somewhere in the middle and dig down, what's gonna happen is the water's not gonna continue to flow. You know, the thing is, if the health department has been contacted and came out and made a ruling and I guess pulled some samples, you know, as a board, we said we would get the health department out there and we did. Other than that, as far as getting in that ditch and digging down and you know, we can't just stop the flow. We've gotta have a continuous.
I'm not saying so, if you dig deep enough, I mean, if you all would do what I asked, it'll probably work. But the health department, they didn't, I called to public service, the highest, Mr. Presley Brandon called. He said he's gonna send someone out. If you say y'all send somebody out, nobody, that guy came, he didn't have nothing to probe, he just took a few pictures, and what they were smart enough, they cut the ground, cut the grass. And I figured somebody told him I had been here, cause I came up here that morning, that evening, they had cut their grass.
Did they take samples? I mean, because
They ain't take
even if
nothing.
they cover the pipe, they still can take dirt samples to see
I'm
what's.
telling you, they have not taken anything. That's the reason I brought y'all the dirt up here when I brought it.
Did they take samples?
They told me they went out there and took samples, took pictures and looked at it, and they didn't see, their exact words were, they didn't see any evidence of any illegal activity.
That's what the health
Should've took
department.
samples.
I'm telling you, I had 2 people out there working in my yard when that man drove up. Only thing he had was a camera and a tablet. He didn't probe, he didn't do anything. I was there in the yard when he came. I wouldn't sit up here and tell no lie. And I asked those people who's working on this little thing right here for me, you know, I said, well, tell me what to do. Cause I said, now, I've been going through the health department. I said, the guy who lived next to me, he was on the health department, he was on everything he possibly could do, and nobody did nothing. That's why I said it was favoritism. Now, when the health department, I took this a couple of days after they came out, this right here. Now, I know that picture shows something, he saw something. Now, nobody's not gonna tell me that he did not see anything.
Ms. Rogers, what does that picture show that you're holding up there?
This is that bitch, you know where I told you where
Yes,
your
ma'am.
boots, you gotta
Yes, ma'am.
step in? That's right there, is going back over in her place now.
Right, it's coming out of that pipe at the
Yeah,
end there.
under the
Yes,
ground.
ma'am.
How do I say it's come out of the ground because the DQ whatever from Oxford came 7 years ago? They had a pipe on top of that underground pipe. The guy came and he told my husband and I, it is an underground pipe.
Is it wastewater or what
It's
kind of
coming
water
from,
is it?
it's,
I mean,
they
if it's
got
coming
this-
from the washing machine, that's one thing. If it's
No,
coming from the
it's-
sewage, that's something
okay.
else.
They got their septic tank in front of the house.
Okay.
They got their field line from the septic tank and the clean out pipe straight down on their property, 2 feet
This
from
is,
mine.
you believe this is the overflow from the septic tank?
Yes. Yes.
Let me suggest then, that
It
if,
is.
Mississippi State tests dirt right out there at Boston Extension, around in the back in the basement. We as a county, I guess anything that's on county right away, I guess we can test it. If we wanna go out and get some dirt samples and off the county right away, because I'm assuming what you're talking about is the county ditch that's going down. So we should be able to get dirt samples off the county right away, take them out Mississippi State and have them analyzed, and they can tell us what's in there.
Okay.
I mean,
We did that, I'm telling y'all,
Okay.
7 years ago. They did that, in that ditch where I'm doing. It was human fingers. Now,
Mississippi State, you
Mississippi
say,
State, yeah.
so do you
Well,
have those
because-
results then?
I'm gonna tell you, I don't have them now because nobody got to the point I did, you know, in 7 years, I didn't hold on. Mississippi State told me, the health department told me what to do. Sterilize everything, take it out there, and Mississippi State did. And they wrote us letters, said it was human feces, and I asked them what was feces, what was that, and they said that waste comes from humans. Okay, that they did. They came out there and told both families that they needed a spray system. My neighbor needed a spray system. They did not get that spray system. They zigzag, they made tributary where they had pipes going this way and that on our property in the ditch. That's the reason we have that little fence to stop it. They took us to court, said we messed up their septic system because we didn't let that water continue to run on our property. And the person passed before the court case was done. Now, we know this is sewage water, comes from the septic tank. So now, I wouldn't be up here with just plain water. That ditch now is beginning to protrude up this way and out that way. So that's why I was telling y'all, come, when I asked you to come, let me show you, just ride it by, you can't see it.
Well, even, again, even if we eyeball something and say, yeah, that's what, it looked just like what you said, eyeballing is not
I
included.
understand that,
We
I
gotta-
understand.
I know, but we're gonna have to go back
I
to
want
step
you to-
one.
yeah, that's what I want y'all to
get
do.
some samples.
That's what I want you to
And
do.
take out to Mississippi State, and let them
Right.
redo that.
Right.
And send a letter saying that's what it is, and then
Okay.
we can start the ball rolling.
All right, my thing
But
is.
if the health department has been there and said they don't see anything, just looking at it and saying
Only
it.
thing I'm gonna do is pray to God. Cause
I
there's
know,
law,
I know,
listen
but
to
I'm
me,
saying we-
this man law, this man, I'm tired now.
Okay.
This is man's law that y'all making favoritism. God make, when he make a rule, it's for all of us, for me and everybody. Man make laws to meet other people's criteria. Now, I'm just telling you the truth. And in my spirit, with me going through this what came to me in my spirit. To tell you all that the law that the health department making is man law and it made for certain people.
But if you had held on to that,
And that underground water is messing up. That's when it can't come out, it's underground. That water gotta go somewhere. And it just, for the many years, it done got so saturated. Now they done put one of those, box out there, it's stinking now because of ground, where they putting the cable. And when it's so wet, that box and already starts, sinking because the ground is so wet. I'm afraid to even try to get an internet because the water eventually gonna go into that.
Oh, well, I'm just telling you, don't pass up on that opportunity to get fiber to your house.
Well, no,
Everybody in the county wants it, you're one of the lucky
but
ones.
listen, I want it, but
Yeah.
how should I get it then box the water underneath it?
Well,
It's
you're not gonna
sinking.
have to touch the box of water. Just
Well,
saying that.
I don't think, what I'm saying, now y'all, the health department, I don't have no trust in them, cause I had a sign saying once for, 5 of them. I came right up here. But you remember that? Because it is who the person is that favoritism. Now, when they found out who that person was, they changed it. When they came out there and told us they had to get a spray system, water is clear out where we live, water does not go up the hill. And they said when they found out who it was, that whole story changed.
well, let me ask you this, because our attorney brought up a good point. We don't wanna open that door of having a test for everybody.
I
But
understand.
I don't think it's terribly expensive. Would you be willing to get
I
some
would be
samples and
willing
take
to
them back out
do
there?
the samples and
have
take
them
out
tested?
there.
Would you do that?
Oh, yes, I
Okay,
would
if you-
do that. Now, let me
Okay.
ask you another question. I don't trust the health department. I'm telling you that, cause they came out here last week and said they didn't see nothing, and this out here was out there. Now, why do I have confidence in them? But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do whatever you tell me to do. My next thing is, if the county can they dig a trench? Can the county come out there and dig me a trench? If I buy the big old round pipes, can they dig me a trench so I can put the pipe in it and cover it back up? I'm gonna let the water flow now.
Can't get off the right of way.
What's that?
22 feet from the center line.
Huh?
22 feet from the center line.
That's not the right of way, that's in the ditch.
He saw something. I appreciate you coming out that day. When I told you that, when I asked you, he saw what I saw.
That's not the right of way, that's county property.
It looked to me like it was a right of way, or it was in the
Ditch
county
is-
property.
ditch is
It was in
county
the-
property.
It's in the ditch. That's where I was going to ditch. So can you? Let me ask you. Y'all don't think y'all can do anything? Let me put it that way.
We,
I'm
Sergeant,
just
nobody,
telling.
this board has not told you what they could or couldn't do. I think the next step in this would be for you to have some proof that there's actually something going on.
Okay.
Let me
And then
kind
come
of
back
deal
to
with
you.
it then. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And then from there we can go from there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll get that as soon as I can. I need to call again because I know I have to sterilize something. I need to sterilize.
Call them and get them.
They have a little box, you
Yeah.
go there and you get it.
At the health department?
Well, it's a Boston.
Boss extension.
So you gotta put it in their container.
Wait, Boston. Okay.
Time to come on campus. Time to come on campus right there to your left.
Okay, go ahead and get their box.
Yeah, it's over at Boss down behind in the basement where they get dirt samples up right there.
Now, I don't mind, I'll do anything to stop that, cause I can't continue to
Well,
live like that.
I think
I appreciate
that's
it.
gonna be your first step.
Okay, I will.
Cause if they saying no and you saying yes, somebody got to have some proof. somewhere, you gotta, if you can do that,
Okay.
that'll
Again,
supply you with.
I will have to ask the question though, well, let's say she does do this.
And they don't say nothing.
And it's show, well, let's say it does show something, then.
What do y'all do then?
It's still.
What are we gonna be able to do?
I think
What
that
I'm saying
I'll
is-
have to make some phone calls for us, what we're gonna have to do. I don't think this board can technically do a whole lot.
We can't hold the health department hostage.
Okay, right, but y'all can hold me responsible if I go out there and dig a trench and put the pipe in, I wanna know. Cause I
You can't
can't,
do it in our right of way.
it ain't in no right of way, it's in the
Advise
ditch.
it.
I just heard what Attorney Robertson just said. He said he need to make some phone calls after you get some proof.
Give me some proof that I can argue with them about.
If you get some proof, then you can hold the landowner
Right.
responsible.
She doesn't want to hire an attorney,
No, I'm not gonna hire no attorney, cause I was talking.
We didn't talk about
We done
something.
talk, we done talk. And I told you to come out there, we done talk, I done talked to everybody now, I'm tired now.
Okay.
I'm gonna dig y'all the river,
I think you're getting ready to get somewhere.
huh?
I think you're getting ready to get somewhere.
Miss Rogers, I want you to pay it for me, I don't.
If you have trouble finding false attention.
Listen, y'all must be happy, cause I'm a happy old woman. Y'all ain't gonna take away my joy. God gave it to me, they ain't gonna let y'all take it.
There you go.
If you have trouble finding false, let me know.
Thanks for coming.
It's right out next to Humphrey College, not Humphrey, football field. I'll send you the directions. Give me that. We'll get you out there, I'll put it like that.
When? I wanna do it soon.
When you get the sample call.
I wanna find out this week tomorrow.
Well, we'll move right along to this item of business, county business.
I don't have anything.
Anything? All right, move right along to county business administration. Number one, Mr. Garrett.
First thing I have is the payroll changes. I've got, the regular one, and then I have this, one that, the road manager brought up. Now, Ricky, Ms. Miller has told me that, Jonathan Smith is not Tommy Smith's brother, but Tommy Smith told me that Jonathan Smith was his brother. They had the same father, but not the same mother.
They have brothers, but they're brothers.
Pardon me?
Half brothers, but they're brothers.
That's what Tommy Smith told me.
I would just say we need to be careful about making, public statements about things like that without proof.
Going by.
Simply because in our rule book, it says that, so that was a public statement just made, so I would say we need to be real careful about doing that. I did question after I got the pack where the note was written on of a certain person, and, told that the birth certificates would show there was no relation, so.
What's the pleasure of the board on the payroll?
What was that tied into what you just, this payroll?
There's two batches.
Okay. I don't see.
You got two batches.
You got one from the jail, circuit clerk, circuit board,
Okay,
and
I didn't get that.
tax officer, you got another.
That's one I was looking
From the road department.
Yeah, I see those, man.
It's not in my packet either.
I don't have the.
I'm the only one that got one?
No,
Yes.
Oh, that's the road department.
Oh, I got the road.
that's what I'm talking about.
We're talking about the raises.
It's got a handwritten note from her on the front.
Okay.
You got it?
Here it is. I got it. Totally different.
Okay, I got it. Didn't look nothing like payroll today.
Can we start from now on putting, employee numbers on all of them, and that way if we have a question of one, we can refer to them by the numbers instead of the name? For example, employee 0958. In prior years, we have not done that until the probationary period is over. So, how do you do somebody doesn't pass the probationary period.
Employee number,
0958. In prior years, we have two other foremen that, we waited until after the probationary period was over.
This is,
So if the probationary period doesn't work out, then you're gonna go back and decrease that amount?
well, this
Well,
is
if the
after
probationary period doesn't work, you fire them, no? I mean, that's,
All gonna be
No,
dismissed.
because it's a merit increase, it's a promotion.
oh, well.
But it says 90-day probation. So it's not like we're going to, so would you give a merit increase during a 90-day probation before they get through the 90-day probation? I will tell you, in prior years, we have not done that.
But now the merit increase is not the automatic increase, so that's a
Yes.
totally different
Yes, it is. It's
deal.
for- it's
No,
for-
merit is not, merit is different from
It says
a
for
payroll
promotion.
after 90 days. But if he was given the normal 90-day probationary increase, we don't do that. Merit is different from that. That's the way I see it now.
Well,
Merit would be
this is
different.
promotion merit, and in prior years, we have not given that increase until after the 90 days was over.
You're saying that there was a promotion during the, okay, I can see that.
Because if they don't succeed after 90 days, you've already given them the merit increase.
after.
The 90 days is up.
Well, see, I don't even know why we had to check both boxes, why promotion and merit, why not just promotion?
Well,
I mean, he's
well-
getting a promotion, and after 90 days, you would get the rate increase you're asking for.
That would be my suggestion, would be after the 90 days, after the probationary period is over, the increase be given.
Well, my suggestion is gonna be, I trust my road manager, and I'm willing to support the road manager. That's gonna be my suggestion.
I have a question. All right.
You wanna address it? Can we
That probably would be
allow the
a great
road
idea.
manager to address that situation, if you don't mind?
Okay, the only, promotion is there's, foreman in a B shop, and he is on 90-day probation before he gets an increase. The rest of those guys is on merit, and they've earned it already.
I have a question, just for my own, get my head wrapped around what we're doing.
And that's what I was saying.
Yes.
Merit and promote is different.
If you're not giving promotions for someone that's on probation, correct?
No.
You're not? So this is a person.
Well, then, you give a promotion to somebody that's on probation.
This is not a new hire. I guess that's a better way to put it.
The increases are. You got some
Promoted
interview.
from operations driver to foreman.
So it was not a new hire.
Was not a new hire.
Okay, I'm trying to get my head wrapped around.
And he's on 90-day
And
probation
then-
As the foreman.
as a foreman.
But he's not a new hire.
And he
He's
hadn't
been
got
here a lot
He has
longer
a
than
new,
90
he has a
days.
new
Right.
position.
And he didn't get the increase for the foreman until the 90-day probationary period is up.
I understood.
Okay, I got you. You're not giving somebody that was just hired and hadn't been with the road department 90 days, a increase.
No.
Okay, good enough.
On here, we didn't, on these, can you tell us what they're hired for? Cause I noticed some of them you hired at different rates of pay.
Mhm.
So for example, this person you hired at 12 and one of them here you hired at 13, but you didn't put what job they're gonna be doing. So,
It's
so
in
what,
that- it's in
you know,
that-
what position, what determines, because you didn't put what position they're gonna be in.
Well, it's in the application. I probably should have put it on there, but all that.
Like this one you brought in at 13, so what is he gonna be doing?
He's a Class A truck driver with extended experience in equipment operation.
Hard to find one of those, isn't it?
Just impossible.
Yeah.
And this one, what's he gonna be doing?
What's his name?
Well, I guess we don't need to call names in an open meeting.
He's gonna be a
personnel issues.
laborer.
A laborer.
He's a laborer.
And that's a $12 one, a lower pay.
Yes.
That's lower than the $13.75,
It is.
which is understandable. The, Class A truck driver.
When he
should-
came, when, that's a rehire, he came in the first time, frankly, and we didn't call his name, but under false pretenses.
Well, listen, you can call names, this is open meeting, this is public knowledge and public records, you can call names.
So I'm not gonna pay him the same thing that he was making when he left. Because he didn't prove after being here longer than 90 days that he was worthy of what he had committed that he could do, because he couldn't do it. He couldn't or he wouldn't, same effect.
So you're asking for employee, back to that, employee 0958. Are you asking for this increase now or after the probation?
After the probation.
After probation.
So, okay, I kinda get what both sides are saying though, is what I mean is, then this may need to wait until the 90 days is up, maybe in a few months.
Okay, so what are we gonna call him?
You can call him that, you can change
He's
his
gonna
title,
be-
but you just don't
He'll
change
be
his rate
that,
of pay.
it's just he's on probation.
We're not changing his rate of pay for 90 days.
Well, this sheet does say, it says it is it
I'm saying,
effective
it would
as of
do that.
6/10.
That would be, that's what I'm saying. I
Okay.
see what you're intending to do.
Well, that's just a misprint. I don't think I
Right.
communicated that to the administrator.
Can
And if
we-
I did, we would have changed it.
How about then we visit this after the 90 days?
We'll put that in the minutes.
When do
Yeah,
you
we,
want
I
to
mean,
give
y'all
Mr. Bullock
speak for your
a
raise,
raise?
so.
After 90 days.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
Just
well,
make
it's
sure we
understandable.
understand.
This order here is understandable that he's not gonna get that pay increase
And he understands.
till after the 90-day probation.
Yes.
It's already, it's
not understandable.
it's in-
Because we would be accepting a pay rate change
Yeah,
that
this
would
is-
take
this
it
is
from
a
this
pay-
to
this is a
that
pay change
today.
form.
Okay.
If we approve that, that's why I'm thinking we need to take that out.
Well, excuse me,
Ms.
he
Garrett.
does have that written on there.
yes, it's at the bottom there.
Yeah, it does have it written on there.
Yeah, I wrote it on there.
It's down here, that's 90 days.
I was
After
gonna say,
90 days.
this
That's
month
spelled out,
is
that's
after.
90 days.
That's right.
Mr. Barrett, I'm gonna apologize to you.
I
I think sometimes.
And I apologize too.
You look down- Well, I think sometimes we looking to rake you over the coals and we don't.
We were
don't-
not,
don't
we
go
were
through
not paying
with
attention to
some
what you had
things.
here.
So I'm gonna
Yeah, I wrote it at
apologize.
the
to
bottom.
you.
It says
I
right
apologize
here,
too.
after this
You
probation.
had it plain as day right there.
Y'all forget about it. Forget about
Plain
it.
as day.
Hey, next time you might need to put it in red, okay, so we.
But I'll support it. I'm joking, but look, that, we owe you an apology, it's plain as day, right here. All we have to do is read.
We got most of it.
All right, what's the pleasure board on these changes, all these changes? Motion
Motion for
by
approval.
Williams, second by Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passed unanimously. Moving to the next item.
AC check invoice in the amount of $15,006.40. Need approval to pay it, that's for that additional striking that was done.
Motion by Supervisor Johnson, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passed unanimously.
Okay, we got, 4 pay requests from Christian Engineering from the preliminary, engineering on Sun Creek Bridge, the 2 bridges there, 157 and 155, Silver Ridge Bridge, number 16, and Longview, number 66. I need orders to pay them that engineering fee. Emergency bridge repair.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passed.
Were they supposed to fill in on that other side? Was that the county or was that the bridge company? Remember when I texted you about the bridge in the area? Oh, okay.
All right, move to the next item, number 4.
The governor has, issued a proclamation granting July the 5th as an additional holiday. And there's an order to allow any employees to take that holiday.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passed unanimously.
I have 2 quotes for the roadside spraying from Helen and Plymouth and East Texas. We would like to, contract with one of these to do roadside spraying.
Is this one of the limbs in the bush or just a roadside spray?
This is roadside spraying, the limb in the bushes comes up next,
Okay.
they're separate bids.
Okay, that's the lowest, they have lowest bid, so
They've done
most
great
of us
work.
approve
Yeah,
on.
they have. I make a motion for Helena.
Got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Miller. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. And then we got a motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Williams to accept the limb.
For the limb.
Any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
I have, couple of budget amendments
I just had to.
in your packet for approval, moving some money around from one line item to the next. In the sheriff's department and in justice court, I need an order to allow for these recommended.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
I got 2 other things that I need to bring up. Deputy Elmore will be retiring at the end of this month and would like to purchase his block model 22, serial number RDF 143 for the dollar that we allow retired deputies to purchase.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign.
I sent y'all, email today that the link was wanting to have a meeting on 7/18/19 at 5:30, economic development meeting. I need to find out if everybody can attend that meeting. Or we could pick another.
If we could change it to another day, it'd be great for me, cause just simply cause I have an event that I have to work. But,
Following week.
I can do it the following week, I can do it the week before, I just simply can't do it on that particular night.
Are they flexible? I mean, can they,
I will check.
That's not a joke, we would consider.
I'm flexible too, so whatever y'all come up with.
Yeah, I'd like
No, it
another
is,
day
so
too.
it's joint meeting.
Oh, I'm sure we probably suggest that.
Okay, so everybody's good with the 25th, if we can adjust it to that.
Just next available date. Just follow week, so yeah.
Okay, I'll try that. Okay, all right now.
Since we were talking about retirements, can you send me a list, everybody that's retiring? You know, I'd like to, we talked about doing something for all of them, and if we have more than one retiring.
Yeah, and I had sent y'all a list of who was retiring a couple months ago, emailed it to you, and then put, the salary pay, the retirement pay.
So can we go ahead and make a motion to print something off in honor of all these employees, and we can, bring them maybe that might be quick for the next meeting, because we've only got a week.
Yeah, they're all retiring June 30th.
Can we bring them back to the second meeting in July and present them with this, and then we'll figure out something to do in the hallway too, as far as refreshments or whatever we're gonna do.
I'll second that.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right.
Did we check to see if anybody was already planning to do it?
Well, Justice Court did theirs, and I put a notice on the board, I'll be honest with you, they did it last week. I'm doing something for mine this
I was
week,
out of town doing something wrong.
and then they're doing something for theirs also this week.
Okay, I try to make something.
I just thought if we could get them, call them up here and honor them all with some kind of certificate, it would be nice too. Or something.
Not yet, we got one more item. Need a motion and second, I suppose, for this cover request on the county business supervisor. 681 Shaw Road, District 4.
Yeah, it's a barn. and all the paperwork has been done. I make the motion, it's in my district.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the vote of the motion passes unanimously. Attorney Robinson, you have?
Yes, sir. I have, you would just pass those around. We, recently, several of my supervisors have asked me about land that has been, if you have a house that's got grass growing up over it, it's just a mess. Y'all, we have a process that we can go through to try to clean some of this stuff up a little bit. Statutorily, it's allowed. It took me a little while to find this, but under 19.505, we have a process that we can do the work and then actually attach it to their taxes if they're not compliant. I thought at some point we might have to pass some kind of ordinance, but that's not the case here. We are statutorily authorized to be able to do some of this. Specifically, there's some things in Longview that I know of right now that basically the building or the house or home is abandoned. And someone lived there for a little while. I actually talked with the property owner across the street. And we have a hook to go after these people or the owners if we choose to do so. I wanted y'all to each have a copy of the statute to give you an idea of how we can go about approaching some of this. I know these are things that y'all get hit with sometimes that will give us that potential to clean up this stuff. But basically what we would have to do is put the landowner on notice, but we would have up to a year to remove things like commodes or junk out of their yard if they don't do it. And then we'd have up to 2 years to cut the grass up to, I think we can go up to a certain amount in a certain period of cuttings out there. But we don't lose that money, it's attached into their tax roll, and that's how we go about approaching it. Now, this is not an easy process, it's a little bit of a convolution to try to do it. However, sometimes you really don't have a choice. I mean, if y'all got something in your district that's created some problems that we need to do, let me know about them and we'll start the process out. And it may be that what we do is once a year look at this stuff and see if there's a way that we can start trying to clean up some of this, because I know that each one of you have had the same situation.
That's the thing that I deal with, like in Sunset, you'll have a house that's been burned up, burned down, burned out, and you've got a neighbor that, you know what I mean? And like you said, up to this point, there was nothing we could do.
Keep in the back of your mind, just because it needs it, doesn't mean we necessarily need to do it. Now, then this is the reason I'm telling you this. A lot of these places, no one's paying the taxes on. They will lose it for the taxes because it's upside down.
Well, this was.
Not this situation, though.
In this situation, I had contacted Attorney Roberts and asked him to contact the lady across the road because I drove down there and the rodents coming out of the house and everything is infesting the neighbors. It's in terrible shape. So I would like to ask to allow him to contact the property owner on this property on Ennis Road to move forward on doing that. I'd like to make that motion to do that so we can see about getting that property cleaned up.
And y'all, to make this clear, we can also add administrative and legal fees into their taxes. Y'all may be paying up front, but hopefully we get paid on the back end to get some of this stuff dealt with, and it's not your responsibility to have to deal with in terms of how much the cost will involve. So that was one of the good things. That's one of the reasons I said, you know, this may be worth us looking into because it's not a drain on you. That being said, just because we can add it to their taxes doesn't mean they're going to pay their taxes. So that's the reason we need to be kind of careful on which ones.
I was just thinking if we did contact the property owner,
They
might go ahead and take some action if they knew that, you know, there were some legal issues that we could address if they did not attach it to their taxes. So I would ask the board that we could, on this property on Ennis Road, that Attorney Roberts be allowed to address that.
I got some questions before we vote on this. I guess one, is this gonna be on individual basis? And two, how much of a spillover is this? I mean, I would rather you go to this property owner and request something yourself first before something comes from this board. Because you start to branch over now into, well, if they got a junk car sitting around, we gonna send them a board order. I don't wanna branch over, I would rather you go to this landowner on your own without something, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna vote against it myself, because I don't want anything coming from me dictating out there, what a person has gotta do on their property. And this spills back over into a lot of times, and I understand exactly what you're saying, the neighbor needs some help, but sometimes if I'm interfering with my neighbor, causing my neighbor some problems, my neighbor got another recourse other than coming from this board, start to dictate out in the county what people want. A lot of people live in the county because they don't wanna have to deal with somebody telling them specifically what they need to do. So I would rather you as a board member, as a person trying to help a constituent in your district, to go and talk to this person and maybe lead this neighbor that's being affected by this down some avenues, rather than something coming from me as a board member.
Well, I thought that's what I was saying when I contacted the attorney. I talked to her and I did go out and look at the property, you know, and I could see, and, you know, like I said, it's an infestation of all types of creatures coming out there, and they even left a dog inside the house, and she was able to get the house broken into and rescue the dog. But,
but she could go and file a nuisance. There's some avenues she could.
There are some avenues for nuisance and things like that. One of the reasons that this statute got brought is because cities, you're right, that's one of the reasons people live in the county. I explained this to the woman whenever we were talking. But one of the good things about this is this could be taken on a case-by-case basis, and it could be, I do think we need to come up with a policy, and I think that, to your point, what does that policy look like? And are we going to,
I don't mind contacting the landowner first. I just
Has anybody contacted them?
But, no, I haven't contacted. I contacted the attorney after I went out and looked at the property and discussed with the citizens that were surrounded by this property.
I know, but to me, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but to me it looked like you would have contacted the landowner and say, hey, listen, you're causing a problem here.
I do think that the neighbor has tried to talk to them, and I think it's kind of convoluted because it's this particular piece of property is tied up in a family that had a son that was living there, and the son wasn't taking care of the situation, and I think that he has now jumped ship. The family just doesn't want to deal with the property is what I'm gathering. But I do think that if we're going to travel, because keep in mind, once we start down this road, it kind of goes back to Ms. Rogers' issue that we had. Once we start down this road, we need to have a policy that I can depend on to know what rises to the level that y'all want to address. And I think that this one probably would rise to that level, from what I've gathered from the, but that being said, y'all are the policy makers here, not me.
Well, this to me would be a last resort type thing.
Right.
To me,
Well, so while we're talking about things like this, if you go down, Pleasant Ridge Road, right before it, turns into, West Fork Road, if you go down there, there's a, automotive place, and the cars are sitting this close to the road, and they just have them lined. I mean, they are now lined with they have quit moving them across to the pasture, and when you make that corner, it is so dangerous because all of those vehicles are just lined on the county right of way. So how do we address somebody that's doing something like that? Because when you make that corner, you see those reflected lights. You know, some of them are facing you, even though they're on the wrong side of the road, and they are on. I mean,
move them several times.
But I'm talking about there's probably 150 cars parked there.
That's easy, that's county right away.
You can't leave a vehicle on
But
county.
that's county right away, you can tow them and.
Right before you get to
I'm
Service
talking about
West Point
going
Road.
on private property.
Right now, we don't Fred
And start telling
out.
people what to do. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I thought he went up.
Now, we might have, they've moved them and then we'd come back 3 weeks later and they're back.
Can we, can I request that we have the sheriff ask them to move those cars?
I certainly think you can, I think the sheriff could do that.
Yeah.
I had to get Brad and Watson and Chad to go, 2 weeks ago out there to Gate Subdivision. Did an 18-wheeler move. So, it keeps coming back, so.
But I think that's different. That we're dealing with county right away now. So we got all the leeway in the world for that.
Safety.
I'm just saying, when you start going over on private property now, start to say some things.
Well, I'll be glad to go, on the Ennis Road situation. I'll be glad to try to call the property owner. Like I said, I know the residents have already contacted the property owner, and voiced their complaints, and, that's the reason they were reaching out to me to help. I'd be glad to do that, and then come back to the next board meeting with what the property owner says, tell them there is a statute out there, and we can go from that point.
If they're not cooperative,
Attorney Roberts.
Yes, sir.
Just an observation, with this, would there be a possibility of offering an option, rather than putting it on their taxes, offer to have them to pay what the county is out of? And that way the landowner would not be out of as much money for his administrative costs and, taxes increasing year by year. But
I think that's kind of the thought process. The only hook we've got is to add it into the taxes to be able to bill it within the fee. But if they did pay it outside of that, I think
yeah,
it would be
that's
within
what I
our
was
scope
thinking, that they would,
to address it.
that they would have an option.
Yes, sir, I think.
Before it being put on
Right.
their taxes, that
Yes,
they
sir.
have an option of paying it off.
We did it one time before, years ago, and it put a lien on the property, and when the property sold, they had to pay us our money before.
This is, and honestly, this is meant to just help y'all have a tool. Y'all need a tool out there to work with, it's here available. And I did do some, get an Attorney General's opinion of how it operated, and it has made it through all the courts just fine, so I'm not worried about that side of it. However, as someone that was raised out in the county, there is a perception of what Supervisor Howard says is the reason they live out there. But I think there's a fine balance, just Rob's opinion. I think there's a fine balance as to how we approach it. I'm not suggesting to you how the policymakers need to deal with this. You just tell me what you want and I'll do it.
I think it should be a step-by-step process, and the first step, I think, should come from you,
Yes,
being
sir.
the board attorney, asking them to clean up the property. I think that should be the first step.
That's where it comes from, the board.
If I do it, it comes from the board. Keep in mind, I don't speak with any authority except for what you give me.
Yeah, but I'm saying that would be an option rather than to go and start cleaning the property up. First to give them an opportunity, give them an opportunity to move on the property and clean it up.
I think either of these dynamics, whatever y'all want me to do, I'll do. I think what Supervisor Miller has determined is, in this situation, is that she's gonna approach them. If that doesn't work, then you're gonna get me to approach them. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
I think it should come from you anyway.
All right, one other thing now, there is a discussion right now, and I wanted to bring this to the forefront to let y'all have an opportunity to discuss it, of whether or not we want to include our election commissioners in on our insurance. Now, let me give you the good part of that. The good part about that is that we would be opening the door to the possibility of some needed insurance for some of our insurance commissioners. There is a bad side of that, or if you want to call it a bad side, there is expense that is attached to that you could have some ramifications as to how much it may cost us as a county. It is perfectly legal for us to do this, but from a policy standpoint, when we open this door, we've got to have a reasoning as to how we're gonna approach it. In other words, are we gonna open the door for anybody that wants to be on the insurance, which is, I mean, if that's what we wanna do, there's nothing wrong with us doing it that way. But we have to be careful that we're not getting any kind of age discriminatory practices or anything like that that would suggest that at a certain age, we don't want these people on that. The reason I say that, after reading some Attorney General's opinions, there were some counties that had attempted to, and not that we are, but had attempted to delineate their employees by age. Well, when they did that, it created a problem. And we need to be very careful with our policy. If we're gonna open this back up and look at it, be careful as to making certain that, number one, especially whenever you look at our elections commissioners, that is considered a part-time position. However, you delineate that a little bit because they are elected. So there are dynamics that we can do that will help us delineate that if we want to keep it kind of small. But my question for y'all to be thinking about is if we want to look at this, we're gonna have to look at our whole policy. And I think that we are considering opening our insurance issue. I think that was something that was discussed, if I'm not mistaken, it may have been in December or January. I'm not saying we're changing, I'm just saying that if we're gonna look at it, we need to be having this discussion now so that I can be looking at our policies and determine how we want to approach it.
I'm in favor of it.
I am too, I think our
I
elections.
am too, there are only elected officials, I think, that are not on it, and, we did make a motion that we were gonna put the insurance back out there, for RFP, and I think this is a good time to do that. I know that, there are other people in town that would like the opportunity to, even if it's be the exact same type of insurance, but I think competitive bidding always gets you the best deal. So I think that we need to go ahead and, put an RFP out for that. And I believe that we need to allow our election commissioners to come and present to us. I think there's 32 counties or something like that already does it, so. And they do not have to fall into the PERS system because they're part-time.
Anything else, Tara?
That's all I have. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but that's all I have. Those were complicated enough to last us a while.
Nothing from the chair. Supervisor, do you have anything I did?
I do have, two things, please. Ms. Cabanelli, can you come up while we talk about this blinking light, please? I met with the Sturgis board and I asked our directors to research this for us because they have a light on their tower and it costs around $90 a month, $90 to $100 a month, and they said that it doesn't necessarily belong to them, and that's a lot of money for the little town of Sturgis to pay. So we did do research, and Oktibbeha County pays the town of Mavens, but they don't pay the town of Sturgis. So I would like to make a motion that we also start paying the town of Sturgis light bill that's anywhere from $90 to $100 a month for that water tower, because we do already pay the town of Mavens.
A motion is second. Second motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Guthrie. Is there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the proper vote.
We didn't even name you, thank you. Thank you.
Motion
I
passes.
think it actually belongs to the fire department.
And then, I just received a text message from, Mayor Sproul about the bridge, inside the city that Pat spoke about. And, she said that they would like to find out what the plans were and, start moving forward. If any difference on what their, ideas were, that they would consider the additional cost, but they need some
Well,
cost
first
estimates.
of all, there's a board order in place that we have to rescind in order to get, and then the board has to agree that this is what we wanna do. So there needs to be a board order in place agreeing that's what we wanna do because we don't have a board order, so we can't tell them
Right,
to
well, we
start,
don't know
so.
what it is yet that is
Yeah.
wanted by both groups, they were thinking
Well, we
a box
don't know,
culvert.
well, the board has to decide if that's what they wanna do first, before you tell engineer to start drawing up things and paying him. The first thing we need to do is rescind the board order, because this was contingent upon District 3 getting the leftover bridge money. Well, later on, Clyde, he explained earlier in this meeting that that's not gonna happen. So in other words, District 3 is not gonna get the money, because we were thinking that was the only bridge left out there to, bring up to speed. Well, so there is a board order in place that says we'll bring this bridge up to par, and then the remaining money will go to District 3. Well, that's not gonna happen, so we need to rescind that board order. The first thing is what we need to do.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the proper vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Now, the next thing we need to do, I think, we need to talk to Clyde about this bridge. Because there are some particulars going on about this bridge. So I think Clyde needs to address this board on that bridge, so we can make a decision on what we need to do, or what we want to do. Supervisor Miller also was in the meeting with the city on this bridge, and there are some particulars going on with this bridge that I think our engineer needs to address this board about before you make a decision on what you're gonna do.
Y'all,
It's in my district, thank you, I appreciate that.
But it's in Oktibbeha County, so the board has say so about everything happens in Oktibbeha County. Supervisor Miller.
Is that a motion that we hear from Clyde first?
I make a motion, we hear from our county engineer. Before we move forward.
got a motion, a second, any discussion?
He's letting him discuss it.
Well, my suggestion was to get the committee back together. Once y'all come up with a recommendation, come back to the board. Move forward, I guess that's.
No, I would like to see that as well, there's a bridge there now, currently a bridge. And the citizens in that neighborhood did not realize we were gonna remove a bridge and put 2 culverts in. So there's some concerns about putting 2 culverts next to each other, just like what we're fixing to pull up on London Way. These are 2 bigger culverts, but they were thinking more a box culvert or something. The city was in agreement to look at what the county had already prepared to spend, and if they thought something maybe was a little additional, maybe address that issue. So that's what I was bringing to the board, is that, they would like all of us to get back together again, or Clyde and their engineer get back together again, and just get some cost estimates on what the county was preparing to spend the first time. And, then look at the adjustments on what they would like to have in that neighborhood inside the city limits.
Again, I mean, pretty much the same thing, let Clyde address the issue. Here's what happened. Clyde came, we told Clyde to make some drawings, some specifications for that bridge. Clyde did, we approved it. The county approved it. When we moved in to do the work, the city didn't like what we approved, so they stopped it. In the meantime, we were still under the assumption that we were gonna bring this up to speed, and then the remaining money. Long story short, that didn't happen, but we approved what our engineer asked us to approve. So we have some specs that's been approved. The city didn't like it, so now Clyde is giving them their drawings, and so there are some things that, you know,
Attorney
the
Ross,
city.
you and me, they didn't have any drawings. There were no drawings.
Clyde got drawings.
There were.
Long story short, in other words, it's in the city, or in Oktibbeha County, it's also in the city limits. It sounds to me like what we came up with, if they want to add to it, to make it better, to beef it up, then hey, we've got an amount that we put on the project. They wanna, make it better, similar to something like what maybe Brown and Creek just did, and that neighborhood fixed that. Maybe put a box culvert in there, it may cost X amount of dollars extra. The city and the county can work together here, then maybe the residents of that neighborhood in the city, in Oktibbeha County, in your district, can all be satisfied with what gets done. I mean, if we need to task Clyde, to be able to go meet the city engineers, and come up with something together that they can bring to our board and also to the city board. Maybe it's a time, maybe we could meet with the city and see if we can't come up with something like you're talking about, a committee. But, input from both sides, and then come up with a solution. It sounds like both parties are interested in it, to put resources in it. We wanna come up with the right product, so, see what the city wants to add to.
Clyde, that's why I'm asking you, talk to Clyde. Clyde had met with the city. Clyde, we've been in a meeting already with the city.
And and they don't.
Well, that was before, let me see what the,
And there's no agreement that can be met,
Clyde is giving them, Clyde is giving the city engineer what he asked for. He's giving them.
they're looking for cost estimates, is what this says on what we have, estimated the cost to be. So we could come back together jointly, the residents of Pleasant Acres, 2 culverts. When you pull out a really nice bridge, it's really aesthetically nice looking, even though the foundation is not good anymore. And the county was gonna go in there and put 2 culverts in. So the city would like to look at maybe a box culvert or something different. So I'm just asking that we move forward as a partnership on this.
Why don't the city draw what they want and then present it to the board and let us look at it?
Right, I think that they were just asking I think they're fine with that, but they were asking the cost estimate that the county had already associated with that bridge. I think they're looking for those numbers.
It really doesn't matter if they draw what they want there and get them a cost estimate on what they draw. And if the county wanna pitch in, we'll pitch in what we're gonna pitch in. Instead of, cause Clyde is drawing some things and giving them some specifications, so why don't the city of Starkville design whatever they want there, put it out for cost estimates, get a cost estimate on it, tell the board of supervisors, this is what we've drawn, this is what it's gonna cost, then we'll decide what we wanna pitch in.
I thought that Clyde was gonna resubmit this bid, this bridge for this LSP funding that has been forfeited.
That's what he did say earlier. But they're just asking for, like I said, for it to be I think they would probably be okay with a box culvert.
I think he's talking about doing a whole
Bridge, okay. Well, we need to follow up on that too then, cause he did say that earlier, that LSBP money, remember he said that we were gonna have some extra, and that we do need to replace that bridge and the one on Yellow Jacket.
And remember, he also said down in Knoxville County, there was a $2 million bridge down there, not Knoxville, but the one that where Oktibbeha County in Knoxville. There's a $2 million bridge.
Well, that's not the one that's on the list right now, for under the weight limit. That's the one, and that's in my district as well. So, I'm very familiar.
I'm telling you, let the city design whatever they want, because at the end of the day, it's what the city wants there. And so let them design what they want, get a cost estimate on it, and then let the county, instead of us having all these meetings, at the end of the day, what Clyde draws, if they don't like it, they don't like it, so let them design what they like, get a cost estimate on it, and then present to us what the cost is gonna be, and then we decide what we wanna put on it. I think that's gonna save a lot of time, because they didn't like what he drew at first.
Well, it seems like they're not gonna accept anything other than a box cover.
Well,
They don't.
they just mentioned a box culvert, it may be something different, but it is actually a bridge there now.
They like the bridge.
Yeah,
They like the concept of the bridge. I think when we were in the meeting, the box cover may have been okay, but that's not really what they.
That's not what they really want bridge.
Well, why don't I throw this out there? I've got to go meet with the mayor on some other stuff, and while I'm there, let me
Put this
dig
in there.
into this, throw this in there, and then report back to y'all, and let you know, cause this may give, we need to know what they're doing, I don't want y'all
Mayor,
wasting
make it
time
clear
in a
what's-
circle here, because, I mean, we're gonna do what we're gonna do, and they can do what they're gonna do, but I may can get this negotiated
Well,
out and be
I
done.
make the motion to rescind the last, motion that was made and give you the authority to start the conversation and go from there.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, we rescind that, motion is made. Second by Supervisor Williams. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. I guess we'll do what you recommend.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, Supervisor Miller, for District 4? Supervisor Williams, anything in District 5?
There's a need for a covet to be put in on Cedar Lane in District 5, and this is to give a person access to their property. I give the last name Watt, I don't wanna give the whole name, but I could, give that full name later, but that's on Cedar Lane in District 5.
So motion by Supervisor Williams,
Yes,
second by
sir.
Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. Motion passed unanimously.
There is a covet on Williams Road, the first bridge that you get to, the first covet you get to on Williams Road. I wanna offer a motion that Clyde will review that, covet situation because it has deteriorated and eventually gonna cave in, and a lot of erosion is taking place around it now. So it's gonna be my motion that we allow Clyde to review that situation and, see about the feasibility of replacing that cover.
Culvert or
So-
cross track?
Well, it's a crossroad. Yeah, it's a bridge type crossroad, that's what it is.
Got a motion, is there a second? Motion second by Supervisor Howard. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk. Motion passed. Anything else, Supervisor?
What was the first road name on that first motion you made, the culvert?
That was on, Cedar Lane, Cedar Lane. That's the Watt family. Next would be a cross drain on Williams Road. First cross drain on Williams Road.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, Supervisor Williams? Supervisor Howard, you have anything?
I have anything.
Supervisor Montgomery, anything?
I got one, and it's at 2035 Old Highway 12. It's at Miss Cooper's house. I brought it up, I guess, a couple of meetings ago. We had 2 trees on that, property. We cut 1 tree down, we the county. The second one, and I guess the main one, it's out there, it's by the road. I mean, it's been struck by lightning and it's dropping pine needles, but where it's at, our road crew can't handle it. I mean, it's by high wire. We need to, I guess, task Mr. Baggett to get a bucket truck or a crew to come in there and do that. Cause if we don't, I mean, when it falls, it's gonna take the high wire out, it's gonna go across New Light Road, Old Highway 12. And, it's gonna be a tough one. But 2035 Old Highway 12, we need to get that on our right of way too.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Miller. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote. Motion passed.
I'm sorry, I do
Yes,
have
sir.
one thing. Our 10-wheel. I've been out and looked at one of our 10-wheels. And we've dumped quite a bit of money. Our road managers, he's still here, he was left. We have dumped quite a bit of money into that 10-wheel. And there's quite a bit of money left to be put in it. And the fact of the matter is, the frame is cracked on it, so you'll never be able to keep it running and operating the way it should. I'm suggesting to the board that we allow our road manager to start to look for a 10-wheeler. Because I don't see where it's feasible or wise spending of the county money to continue patching on this one. when you'll never get it fixed.
Is that an international?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's out of service.
Yeah.
I would say 80% or more. I would say more.
Yeah, but I mean, we really shouldn't have spent the money that we
bought
did
them
spend.
used.
Yeah.
The problem is like he's talking about, and we shared, I guess, this shop's 10-wheeler is, this is the thing, kind of the bread and butter that goes out and does our work orders, culverts, things like that. It's just been out of service to the point of just, it's ineffective, I would say.
You can't do anything. You can't,
Yeah, most definitely.
you can't do anything.
And when it's down,
No, we
it
can't, we
stops
can't,
the
we can't
operation.
purchase it.
It's after the fact.
Kelly's for a second.
If it's
Looking
over,
at-
The last 6 months.
6 months,
you can't purchase anything unless it's emergency.
Until the
no,
majority
no.
of the board gets re-elected.
Well, that'd be something we'll have to face next term, if that's a certain need.
I got one more thing.
Yeah,
All right,
that it is.
real quick, y'all,
You can't purchase it if it's emergency.
Ms. Thomas, I had a conversation with Ms. Thomas last week. That's the issue of the burning that occurred, on a piece of property. Now, that ain't gonna go away. I've asked her daughter to give me an understanding of what their position is on this burn situation. She's suggesting there may be some damage on the property, letting y'all know. Nothing, I'm not asking y'all to make a move on this at this point. But this is
Catch me up, where was
this
it?
is Ms. Thompson, I may be getting the wrong name, her name wrong here. This was the burn that happened, what was that?
Off Williams
Andrew,
Road.
it was Andrew and Williams Road, okay. It was out there on that road. I actually had about a 45-minute conversation with her and her son and either a daughter or daughter-in-law. They're gonna put together somewhat of a demand. They actually said they were gonna talk to an attorney. I asked them if they would just put a demand letter together, let me look at it first. I said, there's no sense in going down that road if I can figure out a way to get this dealt with, but they're gonna get that together. I'll bring that hopefully to the next meeting. I asked for merely giving y'all an update on that. Second thing, we did a agreement to do a TIF. I will not ask for us to move forward on this for right now, but there was a TIF agreement with the Academy Sports project that was going on. They're asking to make certain that we are still on board with the agreement that we had with the city. I've told him that more than likely my board is in agreement with what we agreed to start with. Emily and I both looked at this and had some concerns about what the contract was that they sent us. He's assured me that the wording may have not been exactly the way he would have preferred it be, that we would get together and talk about that, but at some point over either the next meeting or the next meeting, I'll be bringing before you the TIF agreement that was discussed for Academy Sports, probably 3 years ago, 2 years ago? It's been a while back, but I did want to give you kind of something to be thinking about, that I will be bringing that TIF back before y'all, and I did want to do that spur of the moment. I wanted y'all to have an opportunity to kind of be remembering what we discussed back then. That's all I got. Anything else?
I have one more thing I was just gonna tell you. On the Courthouse Road, when you go down Courthouse Road, right before you get to Mr. Cunningham's white vinyl fence, there's a humongous pine tree that's dead right there. It's got beetles in it. Fort County has agreed to cut the top out of it and drop it on the county right away, so we can just pick it up. So they haven't done that yet, but they have agreed to cut all the top out of that tree. They're not gonna cut the whole tree down, but that will be 90% of it if they just cut the top out of it. So I just wanted to let the board know that.
Take any action?
Do we need to take any action on that? Just for the county to pick up the dead tree on the side of the right of way?
Just
Okay.
that's how the road manager pick it
Okay.
up.
All right.
Anything else coming before us, folks, proceed to close? If not, let's get a motion for second stand adjourned next month. Motion by Supervisor McDermott, second by Supervisor Oaks. All those in favor, y'all have a great